They didn't fall in love with you. They chose you, the same way a hunter chooses the perfect prey. Why narcissists choose you? Not because they saw your soul, not because they felt some deep magical connection, but because on some level they sensed your value and your vulnerability long before you realized they were even watching. Narcissists don't stumble into relationships. They select, they scan, they evaluate. They walk into a room and think, who here will admire me? Who here will forgive me? Who here will pour into me, even if I never really pour back? And if you're an empath, or you carry old emotional wounds, or you're strong and independent on the outside, you're not just their type. You're a high-value target. But that's not the scariest part, because the psychology behind why they choose you is much darker than just bad luck in love. The concept of narcissistic supply. Narcissists don't look for love, they look for supply. Supply can be admiration, attention, status, money, sex, validation, emotional energy. You see a relationship. They see a feeding system. They ask themselves, often unconsciously, will this person make me feel important? Will they boost my image? Will they chase me when I pull away? Will they blame themselves when I hurt them? And that's where you come in, because certain traits make you especially attractive to them, not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. In a way they can exploit, but we'll get there. First, let's talk about the three main profiles narcissists are magnetically drawn to. Empaths. You feel too much, and they use it. If you're an empath, you don't just notice emotions, you absorb them. You feel people's pain. You sense their stress. You pick up on the sadness behind their eyes before they say a word. Most people walk past a wounded person. You stop, you care, you want to help. And that's exactly why narcissists choose you. They sense that you give second, third, and fourth chances. Explain away other people's behavior. Feel guilty for walking away. Blame yourself when things go wrong. Your empathy becomes their shield. Your kindness becomes their cover story. Your heart becomes their get-out-of-jail-free card. So when they lie, you say, they must have a reason. When they snap at you, you think they're under a lot of stress. When they disappear, you think maybe they're going through something. You keep understanding them long after they've stopped respecting you, and that's exactly what they're counting on. But empathy alone doesn't explain why you stay so long. There's another layer, and for many people it comes from before the narcissist ever appeared in their life. If you want to understand the psychology behind toxic people, follow before the next narcissist finds you. Subscribe if you want part 2, the darker truth they never want you to learn. Trauma background. Your old wounds make new pain feel familiar. If you grew up around chaos, unpredictable love, emotional neglect, or a parent who was emotionally unstable, controlling, or absent, your nervous system learned something dangerous. That love is unstable, that attention must be earned, that safety never lasts. So when a narcissist shows up and love bombs you, texting constantly, idealizing you, saying, I've never felt this before, moving fast, creating intensity, it doesn't just feel exciting, it feels familiar. Your body remembers that pattern, the high, the low, the confusion, the apology, the hope. It's the same emotional roller coaster you lived through as a child, just with a different face. And they can feel it in you. They sense that you, fear being abandoned, fear being too much, fear being not enough, will work hard to prove that you're worth staying for. They don't think this person needs to be protected. They think This person will cling harder when I pull away. Your unhealed wounds don't mean you deserve this, but they do mean you're more vulnerable to it. And that's exactly what a narcissist is drawn to. But there's one more profile that surprises almost everyone. You think you're too strong to be manipulated, too independent, too successful, too aware? But here's the brutal truth. Narcissists are obsessed with people like you, not because you're weak, but because your strength makes you the perfect trophy. They look at you and think, if I can control someone like that, imagine how powerful I'll look. You're not just a partner, you're a status symbol. You boost their image. You make them look smarter, more desirable, more important. And deep down, you want to be seen, understood, appreciated. They sense that. They feed on that. But this is just the beginning. How they spot you. They don't need a checklist. They test you. If you're an empath, they start with a sad story, a betrayal, a tragic past, and then they watch your eyes. If you soften, if you comfort them, if you say, I'm sorry you went through that, even though you just met, they know you'll justify their behavior later. Kindness becomes their green light. If you have a trauma background, they come in fast. Love bombing, intensity, soulmate talk, deep conversations too early. And when your nervous system relaxes into that familiar chaos, they know they found someone who won't leave easily. To them, your wounds aren't delicate, they're leverage. If you're strong and independent, they praise you at first. Your job, your ambition, your discipline. But then comes the test. A small joke at your expense, a tiny criticism, a relax, you're overreacting, and if you bend even a little, explain yourself, seek their approval, soften your tone to keep the peace, they think strong on the outside, trainable on the inside, that's all they need. What happens after they choose you? You stop being a partner, you become their mirror, their emotional sponge, their audience, their trophy, and then the draining begins. If you're an empath, your empathy becomes a weapon against you. If you're trauma-based, the chaos feels familiar and you stay. If you're strong, they dim your power until you don't recognize yourself. And one day you ask, where did I go? But listen carefully, because this is the part they don't want you to hear. The real reason they chose you. They didn't choose you because you're broken. They chose you because you're valuable, your empathy, your strength, your depth, your resilience, your willingness to love deeply. These aren't flaws, these are gifts. But in the hands of a narcissist, your gifts become chains. The problem isn't that narcissists choose you. The problem is that nobody taught you to choose yourself first. And once you see the pattern, you're no longer prey, you're aware. If you want to understand the psychology behind toxic people, follow before the next narcissist finds you. Subscribe if you want part 2, the darker truth they never want you to learn.